Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video. Today's video I'll be focusing on books 56 to 60 of the books that I've read this year so far. The 56th book that I read this year was Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy, and I've already done a spoiler-free review of the first one, and I'll leave a link to that up in the card symbol up here. The thing I want to say about the first book is that I loved the world, I loved the magic system, I enjoyed the diversity between the cast and all of that, but I had a hard time with the narrative of the audio, with the second person narrative. I had a really hard time getting by that, so I ended up not giving up the first book, the 5th season, very high ratings, but this book was different. I don't know if it was because I knew going into this audio that it would have this second person narrative this time, or if I was just used to listen to it so that I was more involved in that narrative as well this time, because there was a lot more of the second person narrative in the second book, but I also enjoyed the second book a lot more. I feel a lot more invested in the characters this time around. I think that was mainly because this second person narrative worked better for me this time around, and so I definitely enjoyed this and gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, so that was exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to the last one. I haven't really decided yet if I'll just go and buy the whole trilogy in physical form and then read the last book in physical form, or if I can wait for that, or if I just want to get the last one on audio as well and listen to it, and then later on get the trilogy. I haven't really decided on that yet, but that depends also on when I'll feel like I want to reread it again. So the 57th thing that I read this year was Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence, the first book in the Broken Empire trilogy. I've already done a full spoiler-free review of this book, so I'll leave that in a card symbol up here as well, and it's in the description box below, so you can check that out if you want to know my thoughts about this book and why I gave it the rating that I did, because I'm not going into any details about that today. But I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It was definitely an interesting read to me. The 58th thing that I read this year was The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. This is the first book in the Lady Helen series. I think it's going to be a trilogy, but I'm not really sure about this. This book follows this girl called Lady Helen who lives with her aunt and uncle after her parents' passing. Set back in 1812, and at this time Lady Helen has just turned 18, so she's just getting ready to start in on the courting season. While she's preparing herself for this, however, she comes across a group of people who calls themselves the Dark Days Club. They tell her that there's a lot more to her than she first initially believed. She has a hard time believing this in the beginning because she's just a normal human being. She feels like she's just pretty normal, but then when they start asking her different things, she realizes that they probably have something that's correct about that, and it's also one of the reasons why she is so intelligent and has such a quick mind compared to everyone else in her group of people. And so she starts accepting it and ends up becoming part of this group called the Dark Days Club. All the while this is happening, maids are also starting to disappearing from her in different ways, so she makes it her own mission to sort of trying to solve this mystery and find out who actually, if the maid was killed or if she just left abruptly without taking her luggage with her. Because that's very rare that anyone would leave their luggage behind, because that's everything that they owned. And one of the things that I stumbled upon when I first heard about this book was that it's branded as a romance. Like in the blurb it says there's a romance in it, but the romance is really brief. I don't even want to consider this as a romance, because I think the romantic thing comes from her courting season, but this book is very brief in the romance section. So if you don't want a book filled with romance, but you feel like you want to read something fun that's set in a historical setting, then this will definitely be an interesting book to pick up. So I really enjoyed that it focused a lot more on the mystery and her coming to terms with her powers than an actual romance. I think there might be a romance in the coming books, maybe. I'm not sure. That it points towards that it could be, but I like that for now the focus is on the mystery and her finding out her powers herself and her powers and what she can do with them. And overall, I just really enjoyed this book so much. It was a lot of fun to follow. And Helen was such a great main character. She's a really intelligent and fun and strong character, which I really enjoy seeing in the main characters that I read from. And I also really enjoyed her relationship with the maid, her personal maid Darby. That was a fun relationship to follow. They really formed a really great friendship and definitely enjoyed that. And I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely intrigued to see where the next book is going. That was released earlier this year, and I'm going to get it as soon as I am out of my book buying ban. So how you know that? The next thing that I read this year was Rosemary and Rue by Shauna Maguire. This is the first book in the October Day series. This is an urban fantasy series, so it was actually the series that I wanted to have started from this author, because I've had this series on my TBR for so long. And it follows this girl called October Day, she's a fae, she's a changeling, she's not among the purebloods, she's just half human, half fae, so she's looked down upon a lot because of this, because she's not completely as strong as the pure blood around there. And yeah, it follows her as she's trying to figure out who killed her. I don't know what she was exactly to her, if she was a master or boss or something, but definitely she tries to find out who killed this person, and all the while she's investigating these things. Things are happening, she's being attacked all the time, and yeah. That's one of the things that I think was weird about this, that she kept being attacked all the time. It's like there's no time for developing the characters, and new things happen, because I think every 10 pages she was attacked by something and who wanted to kill her, or she was about to be killed, or I don't know if she was reckless or if the author just thought it was fun that she was in this position all the time. I found it a little boring, because you just knew that, she was going to get out of it anyway, because it's a long series and all of that. And instead of focusing on the mystery and focusing on the character development, that's one of the things that I didn't like about it. But I still had some I still think it was interesting, and definitely enjoyed getting to know October Day a little bit at least. And I think that the world was interesting, and I can definitely see it could become a pretty interesting story series in the coming books. So I'm going to at least check out the next one before I make up my mind about this series. Yeah, I think I end up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The final book that I'm going to be talking about today is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is book 2 in the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. I was really hoping going into this that I would enjoy it more than A Darker Shade of Magic, because everyone seems to think that they become a lot better, these books. I think the plot is really interesting. I like the concept of these multiple dimensional Londons that have different sort of magical powers. That's interesting that the main character is one of the only rare few who can travel between these places because of the magic that he can use. That being said, this was quite boring actually. I didn't enjoy picking this book up. It felt like quite a chore to pick it up. One of the things that I enjoyed about this was that Alucard, I think one of the newer characters that were introduced to us, he was a pirate king or something. He was interesting. He gave this story a fresh breath of air, if you want to say that, and that was definitely interesting. And I like getting to know Rai a little better, the prince. One of the most annoying things to me is that we don't know anything about Lila's background story. She's the main focus almost in this one. Kel was the main focus in the first one, I believe, but it shifts between Kel and Lila sort of evenly. But this one, it's like she's she's portrayed to be this badass girl. No one can beat her, she can do everything she wants, and she doesn't care about anyone else than herself, and she wants to kill everybody. But we don't know why she is as she is. And that's one of the main things that I find annoying about this. I really don't like Lila, but maybe if I knew a little bit about her background story, how she grew up, anything about that, I would actually understand where she was coming from and probably maybe like her a little more. I feel like it's the same with Kel, but I do feel like we get a little bit more backstory about him. But Lila we know nothing about, and she's just super annoying to be annoying, I think. And I initially gave this a 3 stars, but I'm considering if I should knock it down half a star and give it a 2.5, because I definitely have my issues with this. But there were some things that were added to this that was decent, that was interesting, and the books are really easily read, and that's something that's definitely, I can understand why some will like this, because it is very easily read. I just didn't like it at all. So these were the next 5 books that I've read this year. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of the books and what you thought of them, if you agree with any of the things that I've had to say. Definitely let me know about that. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!